General Hospital spoilers tease that one of the newest obsessions quietly creeping through every shadowy corner of Port Charles is the looming return of Michael, not quietly. Not in some private encounter, but right in the middle of the 2025 Nurses' Ball. All eyes will be on the dazzling stage, where performances will become mere backdrops to a shocking reappearance. And this return is not about seeking forgiveness, nor mending anything, it's about establishing a new order. Michael is no longer the man who once let emotions cloud his judgment, but someone who now fully understands betrayal, pain, and the art of control. During his absence, Michael didn't disappear, he waited. Waited for everyone to let their guard down. Waited until Willow thought she had finally broken free, until Drew believed the house he built would mark the beginning of a new happiness. And until Carly was convinced she still had everything in the palm of her hand. But none of them expected Michael to come back, with a plan so insane, so meticulous, and so unstoppable. This time, Michael's control doesn't lie in loud declarations or direct confrontations, it lies in the stillness before the storm. He doesn't need to shout. He doesn't need to expose anything right away. He just needs to stand there, under the bright lights of the Nurses' Ball, and let his silence cut through every mind like a blade. Willow will be frozen. Drew will feel the ground shake beneath him. And Carly. Carly will finally realize that Michael has turned a page, a chapter she no longer has the strength to manipulate. The scariest part isn't that Michael is back, it's that no one knows what he's going to do next. Because this time, Michael didn't return just to reclaim what's his, he came back to destroy everything built on betrayal. And that's when everything will spiral into madness. Michael is no longer the man who clung to his wounds, trying to heal. He's past that phase. He's risen from the ashes, shed the image of a discarded husband, and silently sharpened his every move. Every thought, every reaction, forging himself into a cold, decisive version in total control. And when he walks into the Nurses' Ball, no one in that room, not a single soul, will escape the shadow he casts. This isn't about love. It's not even about pain anymore. This is the return of a man transformed, not by the world, but to change the world of those who betrayed him. And when the spotlight hits, the music fades. And every word is swallowed by a moment of stunned silence. Michael will be there, with ice in his gaze, a cryptic smile on his lips, and all of Port Charles will understand. A new era has begun. The custody battle over Wiley and Amelia is no longer a personal feud between two women who love the same children. It has evolved into a cold, brutal battlefield with no room for weakness. Law, rage, schemes, and tears are now double-edged weapons. Carly enters the fight with the instincts of a seasoned mother, ready to do whatever it takes to keep the children within the orbit she believes is right. Meanwhile, Willow, heartbroken yet fierce, refuses to be reduced to a nominal mother by Carly's agenda. Yet, beneath the icy surface of court battles and fierce declarations lies a silent, haunting truth that shadows every step they take. Michael is coming back. And what terrifies everyone isn't just Michael's return, it's what he might do, or more precisely, what he's become capable of doing. Michael is no longer the soft-spoken man with gentle eyes who once tried to preserve family harmony. He's been gone long enough to shed every ounce of leniency, every illusion about justice, love, and forgiveness. What he brings back this time isn't an explanation, it's a plan. A calculated restructuring of power, law, and emotion where everyone who betrayed him will face the harshest, most lawful punishment imaginable. Carly thinks she's doing the right thing. She believes protecting Wiley and Amelia from Willow and Drew is a way of preserving a piece of Michael's soul, the son she always saw as a symbol of morality and honor. But Carly doesn't know she's being pulled into a new web of manipulation Michael has been silently spinning, a web where every piece is under his control, from lawyers to judges, from media to public opinion. Meanwhile, Willow begins to sense the madness seeping into the story she thought had ended. Legal meetings grow inexplicably tense. Damaging evidence keeps surfacing. Small errors in her custody file are suddenly unearthed. And then, even supposedly neutral parties start to favor Carly, as if someone orchestrated it all from the start. Willow is no longer in control of the narrative. Instead, she's living a nightmare scripted by Michael. Every detail, every glance, every leaked rumor is designed to push her to the brink. This story won't end peacefully. Michael hasn't returned to reconcile. He's come to erase everything that once existed between them, and rebuild it his way, with himself as the sole architect. This is no longer about custody. It's about power, control, and the absolute reordering of everything. Willow is no longer just fighting Carly. She's up against a Michael she's never known, a Michael who's cold, calculated, and who understands law and human emotion so deeply that he turns them into deadly weapons. And Carly, once his greatest ally, now feels something rising in her son that's beyond her control, something she's not even sure she understands. While Port Charles continues to revolve around its daily dramas, a larger war is brewing, where no one is the same, and every moral principle is being tested. Wiley and Amelia may be just children. But in Michael's hands, they are the centerpiece of his ascension as a whole new force. Michael, the man holding every piece of the board. Michael is no longer the forgotten name at awkward Quartermain dinners or the sideline presence in their cold, silent mansion. He's coming back, not as a lost son needing welcome, but as a force of realignment, a power center, a man bringing seismic shifts capable of upending the family's foundation. These adjustments didn't come quickly. They were born in the shadows, where Michael has been quietly observing, analyzing, and planning each step. He is no longer the emotional, wounded, vulnerable man. He has restructured himself into someone who acts with cold logic and deep strategy. He doesn't say much, but every word is a strike. He doesn't show anger, but every glance at Drew is a silent declaration of war. Drew never imagined he'd be a target. He was the brother, the mentor, the rock in Michael's hardest days. But now, all Michael sees is a man who slept with his wife, stole his family, and is slowly claiming his children like spoils from a game Michael never played. And this war doesn't roar. It doesn't bleed. Every adjustment Michael makes is a velvet-covered bullet. He's changing the rules without anyone noticing. Willow's lawyer is suddenly suspended. Drew's custody paperwork reveals odd inconsistencies. Child advocacy groups begin issuing negative reports on Wiley and Amelia's new home, all like a domino setup, perfectly aligned. With only Michael holding the final push. The Quartermains are starting to feel Michael's invisible pressure. Monica, always the beacon of compassion, now doesn't know what to say when faced with a Michael who is no longer the child she once cradled. Brooke Lynn, once sure she understood him, now only watches from a distance. Olivia tries to hold the family together, in vain, as an invisible fracture deepens among them. And Ned, once a symbol of stability, begins to doubt whether Drew should be trusted again. Tracy, the wily old matriarch, senses something greater is unfolding. And for the first time in years, she's unsure who really controls this family. Because when Michael walks into the room, all eyes shift. When he speaks, everyone goes quiet. And when he says nothing, they fear him more. Michael's new adjustments don't stop at the family. They spread to the company. Investment decisions suddenly reverse. Boardroom meetings destabilize. Business partners are confused by the abrupt change in leadership strategy, a new, colder, stricter but shockingly effective philosophy, born from Michael. He no longer wants to merely inherit. He wants to redefine the standard. Meanwhile, Drew keeps trying to hold on. Not realizing this isn't a rivalry between two men who loved the same woman. This is a campaign to reset the balance of power, and Drew is just a pawn. He thinks he's protecting Willow. But Willow has already become part of a game she can't fully grasp. Worse, she's slowly losing her children, not from lack of love, but because Michael has already anticipated every move. Port Charles has never seen an undercurrent like this. Life continues, events unfold, dinners are hosted, but in every conversation, Michael's name now looms like a silent, commanding force. And when the court date is finally set, every eye will be on two men, Michael and Drew. But only one of them is setting the rules. And he doesn't need to win. Because he already owns the board. In recent months, the atmosphere in Port Charles has grown strangely heavy. There's something unnamed in the air, as if the entire town is holding its breath. Bracing for something terrible to happen. And then, it does, in the form of someone no one expected, Drew. As Sunny slowly fades from the spotlight, due to illness, age, and a lifetime of unrelenting turmoil, a power vacuum begins to form. Who will inherit the bloody, iconic, and infamous legacy he leaves behind? While many believed Michael would be the one to follow in his father's footsteps, reality revealed a very different answer. Drew, once an outsider to the criminal world, once synonymous with integrity, justice, and loyalty, now emerges as the new mob boss. Quiet, dangerous, enigmatic. This transformation wasn't the result of an impulsive action but rather a series of silent, new adjustments, subtle, persistent, and carefully hidden behind board meetings, financial contracts, and strategic moves masked as legitimate business. Drew has slowly shifted from a man caught in a web of personal turmoil into a key player in the underworld, and the terrifying part is that no one truly noticed the change. By the time the people of Port Charles realize it, it's already too late. Michael is the only one who senses the undercurrent long before anyone else. He once saw Drew as an ally, a remnant of a wounded but safe past. But as Michael closely watches each of Drew's moves, he realizes something is going wrong, and it threatens the legacy Sunny fought so hard to build. Not just the relationships, the money, or the territory, but the vast network of respect, fear, and influence that the Corinthos name carries through generations. Michael cannot allow Drew to control that legacy. Not out of hunger for power, but because he knows Drew isn't equipped to preserve it. Drew doesn't understand the rules of the dark. He's playing a game in which men like Sunny have bled, suffered, and sacrificed their personal lives to survive. If Drew keeps pushing forward, Port Charles will become a town no one can control. It's exactly at this turning point that a new crime is exposed, and this time, no one can look the other way. 2 deaths, Sidwell, a sharp-witted attorney, and Brennan, a mysterious figure from the underground, suddenly share a common thread. Both died under suspicious circumstances, both had financial ties to Drew. And both were key links in a network that Michael is now investigating. What once seemed like isolated incidents now form a chilling mosaic, and at the center of it all is Drew. Michael doesn't go public. He doesn't rush to expose anything. Instead, he begins to collect bank statements, recovered deleted messages, security footage thought to be lost. Piece by piece, a blood-stained picture emerges, with Drew standing squarely in the middle. While Michael tries to preserve his father's image, not for the sake of glory, but for the safety of the innocent, Drew is dragging everything into chaos. And this leads Michael to a tormenting dilemma. Does he have the courage to bring Drew, once his brother, his family, to justice? Within the family, the tension is growing. Carly senses something is wrong but lacks the evidence to name it. Willow is trapped in an emotional vortex with Drew that she can't escape. Brooke Lynn has grown unusually quiet. Olivia and Ned begin whispering, something isn't right. But no one dares say it out loud. No one wants to believe that Drew, once a pillar of morality, could be behind this blood-stained series of events. But Michael knows. And he understands that one wrong decision now could destroy everything. Port Charles stands at a crossroads. The Quartermain family teeters on the edge of fracture. And Michael must choose the only path that can save the legacy, before it's drowned in red by an uncontrollable force. While Port Charles spirals into chaos amid rising underground networks. While the ghosts of Sidwell and Brennan's deaths still haunt the halls of power, a quiet but dangerous shift unfolds. Carly chooses Michael's side. What seemed like a simple act sends shockwaves through the city. Every balance, every alliance, every strategic forecast is shaken. Carly, the woman who once fought the world to protect Sunny, who once severed family ties in defense of Drew, now draws her sword and turns back, pledging total loyalty to Michael, her son, the man who is fast becoming the symbol of a new era. This support doesn't come from pity. It's born of a painful, ruthless awakening. Carly once cherished Drew. She saw him as salvation after everything Sonny left behind. She believed Drew represented a healthier, legal future, free from bloodshed and ancestral vendettas. But time revealed something else. Drew is becoming more dangerous than Sonny ever was. Not because he's cruel, but because he acts without truly understanding the darkness he's entering. Carly has watched Michael change. He's no longer the quiet boy shadowing his father. No longer the broken husband haunted by betrayal. Michael now stands alone, sharp, still, and focused like a freshly forged blade. Carly has observed every adjustment, every calculated move, every measured reaction. And eventually, she could no longer deny it. Michael is becoming something neither she nor Sonny ever dared to imagine, a real force. This wild shift in the storyline doesn't end with Michael. When Carly stands beside her son, she brings with her history, blood ties, and the fragmented soul of the Corinthos family, and she places them all in the hands of the one person she believes is worthy. Willow is stunned into silence. Drew is panicking behind closed doors. The Quartermain family cracks further. One side leans toward political safety, the other fragments, torn between loyalty to Drew, truth from Michael, and overwhelming suspicion of everything. Carly knows exactly what she's doing. When she shows up to strategic meetings, when she demands legal files on Drew, when she quietly meets with Sonny's old allies to reforge alliances. Port Charles begins to realize, she's not just a mother backing her son. She's rebooting an empire. And that empire may no longer bear Sonny's name, but it carries his ideology. And it's being shaped by Michael's hand. Michael was once merely a fighter, battling for custody of Wiley and Amelia. But with Carly's support, he's no longer fighting alone. He has the city's most formidable woman at his side. He has public sympathy. He has access to sealed records. He has financial power. And now, he has the loyalty of Sonny's former soldiers, ghosts of the past, ready to serve again. With Michael and Carly united, the shock isn't just personal. It marks the reconstruction of the post-Sonny order, and Port Charles begins to tremble beneath its weight. Underground investors begin pulling out of Drew's deals. Aurora Media's board meetings become increasingly tense, breaking apart piece by piece. Internal documents leak. Media outlets once aligned with Drew now report with neutral tones. And Carly? She attends every meeting calmly, saying little, but her gaze says it all. The game has changed, and her side is winning. Michael remains silent. But it's the silence of a man climbing to the throne, not needing to scream to assert his power. As Drew spirals into confusion and isolation, Michael rises, not as a successor handed a crown, but as a man who takes it with his own hands. The storyline has entered an entirely new chapter, one of wild recalibration, where a cold-blooded son and a fearless mother stand together, facing a world slipping into chaos.